Will Wanyang take us to the moon? No. Third-party grading by companies like PSA and CGC are the backbone of Pokemon card value. And I'm seeing this aspect of grading and investment begin to infringe on K-pop, and honestly, I hate it. As a collector of both Pokemon cards and K-pop, I wanted to give my opinion on this topic, so let's jump right in. First of all, I personally have never really cared for grading in Pokemon. I'm definitely more of a collect the Pokemon I like and keep them in my binder type of guy. And I actually play the trading card game, so I actually use the cards for their intended purpose. And naturally that would damage the cards over time, so I've never really been a stickler for condition. Ooh la la. But I can understand and appreciate the concept of grading in the hobby. And it totally makes sense for a card game that is around 30 years old, where a lot of the early sets are considered vintage. What gives these older cards their insane value is scarcity, because no one who was buying Pokemon cards in the late 90s and early 2000s would have thought that Pokemon would become the largest media franchise in the world. So kids would just shove them in their pocket, no sleeve, no binder, whatever, and they would end up getting destroyed. So the cards from that era that have survived in pristine condition today are extremely valuable. And this also applies to things like comic books and sports cards. But recently I've seen many videos of K-pop photo cards being sold for way over market price because they were slabbed and graded a gem mint 10 by PSA. For example, the Sour Candy Chaewon, that card graded at a 10 sold for $260, which absolutely makes no sense. First of all, you can pull this card in an album that is still in print. The scarcity is artificial, not organic, meaning that the market price was manipulated by the slab and not the actual card itself. Additionally, rarity in Pokemon and other TCGs is decided by the company itself, whereas in K-pop, album pull rates should all basically be the same, and value is decided by the community and the personal preference of the individual collector. And of course, we all push for equal value among members. At least I think that's the way it should be. So here's the main point for why grading K-pop photo cards doesn't make any sense. There is no standard to grade by. For Pokemon, there is absolutely a standard because one, Pokemon cards all come from the same source. The Pokemon Company International has their manufacturers and they have a set standard of how each card should look. Of course, some cards will be printed with defects or errors by mistake, but there is a clear standard of how each card is supposed to be printed, from the alignment and centering to the colors. But in K-pop, there are so many different companies who use different manufacturers for their photo cards. Basically, it's literally impossible to have a set standard for photo cards. And even within different print runs of the same album, you'll find minor differences between the same photo cards. For example, one can be a little more zoomed in or have slightly different colors. So how can a grader in California have a master template for how photo cards are supposed to look if they were printed in a small batch in Seoul? And another thing is most photo cards are incredibly simple. They're just picture on the front and small picture on the back. Yeah, it's basically just cardstock with printed pictures on it. So it's really easy to make fakes, and if they're done well, sometimes you can't even tell the difference between a real one and a fake one. So the only thing a grader can really go off of is condition, and realistically this doesn't even matter to most K-pop collectors, because if you collect K-pop, you know that these albums are jam-packed with posters, the CD, stickers, postcards, all these other inclusions that are pressed up against the photo cards. So by the time you actually pull them out, they already have these little imperfections on them, whether it be indents or white spots on the corners. So if a photo card isn't perfect, it's not really bothering a K-pop collector in the slightest. Let me show you an example. So I have two of the same album. These are the photo cards that came in them, Mayu. So it's in pretty good condition. It's like there's nothing off about it. There's nothing wrong with it. It looks totally fine. There's no issues here. And this is Kaide. If we look at Kaide, you can see there's a big line right across her nose, and you can see the indentation coming through from the back. You can even see, look at the indentation from the back of the card, but I still love it just the same. And I suppose you could argue that this makes perfect 10s hard to come by, so this rationalizes the increased value from gem mint 10s. I can't speak for everyone, so that may be the case for some people, but from what I've seen, the majority of K-pop collectors wear imperfections on their photo cards like a badge of honor. We love taking our photo cards with us. We put them in our phone cases, we put them on our bags, we love showing them off, we love showing the world who our bias is. So I feel like every imperfection comes with a story, and I think K-pop collectors tend to value sentiment more than the financial aspect of collecting. So my take is that grading K-pop photo cards is completely useless for K-pop collectors, and it really feels as though resellers and value extractors are just moving across different hobbies and trying to find the next big investment after they completely destroyed the sneaker market. And honestly, PSA is turning into a complete joke nowadays with lack of consistency between graders and the recent buyback scandal. So my trust in PSA to grade and authenticate K-pop photo cards is kind of non-existent to begin with anyways. So to K-pop collectors out there, don't overpay for graded photo cards. Enjoy the hobby for what it is. Show off your bias, connect with other fans. Don't make a big fuss over whether Silgi Tears PC is gonna take you to the moon. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.